What's going on, fellow ICT traders? So a slightly different video than usual, because normally you hear me talk about crypto quite a lot, and I do trade the FX market quite regularly as well. So what I'm going to start doing now is I will begin to create weekly videos and deep dive into the DXY and EuroUSD and any positions that I will be taking week on week, basically. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet in the first video. And what I'm going to be discussing is the higher time frame bias and analysis. And I'll chuck in some educational videos as we go along. Now on the monthly time frame on the DXY, one key thing that I notice from the DXY against EuroUSD that we have major SMT right now. I'll comment to that in a second. But from what I can see right now on the monthly time frame, we're in a dealing range from these lows to this high. This is the 50% of the dealing range, so we're within the discount side of the dealing range. Usually when we're within the discount side, we want price to tip a couple of key areas for then to look for reversals to the upside. However, one thing that we must pay attention to is on EuroUSD, that we are pretty much down here on EuroUSD. So it's likely we will tap and take out these lows. And I'll come into that in a second, but let's go into the details of what I can see right now. Monthly time frame, order block down here, price has tapped into it and we rejected off it. We've swept liquidity once, twice, and we rejected and closed above. We're now within this dealing range down here. We have been range bound for quite a while since last year, since May last year, basically. So we've been in range bound for quite a while, and we could potentially likely continue being in range bound. But here's what I can see right now. Sell side liquidity, buy side liquidity, weekly time frame, we dropped down. Price came in and swept liquidity down here. We had a huge wick to the downside, closed above, and we've got this fair value gap down here on the weekly time frame. Now, prices come up into the weekly fair value gap, tapped into the 50% of the weekly fair value gap, which is exactly what we want to see. And we've basically rejected off this order block down here. Now, if we go in the lower time frames, I'll show you exactly what I'm looking at. But from what we can see just on the monthly and weekly, high, low, right? Could this be your potential high? Or could we come slightly deeper within this weekly fair value gap and likely come and tap into some key areas on the lower time frame, basically tapping into the inefficiencies. Now on the daily time frame, it becomes a bit more clearer. High, low, create a high, right? Tapped into the weekly fair value gap, attempted to create an internal break of market structure to try to change the state of delivery. However, this is all internal range liquidity right now. So everything that you see within this is internal range liquidity. This is your external. So right now, even if we create a break of market structure down here and close above, we will likely come and take out these highs, close above. I would like to see a pullback down. So essentially what I'm trying to say down here is what I'd like to see is price next week come take out this buy side liquidity, create a break of market structure, and even if we don't, just sweep liquidity from here, come back down and likely take a position for a long setup in the short term to the upside. That's what I'm looking at right now. Now things can change and we may even see something more to the downside. So what I'd be looking for is price not to take out this liquidity, continue coming down. So this will be a draw of liquidity in the future, continue coming down, tap into a key area down here. And then we'll get an entry from this area. Price will come up. We can take a second entry down here. And then we can target these highs down here. That's essentially what I'm looking at on the DXY. Now, if we go on the monthly time frame on EuroUSD, this is what I was referring to as SMT. We can see the dealing range, which is equivalent to the same dealing range I just identified on the DXY. Here's your lows, here's your highs. Your 50% of the dealing range is here. So we're deep within the premium side of the dealing range. We are not far off from this buy side liquidity. And if we compare that to the DXY, we've got a long way to go yet still. So there could be a possibility that we do come in deeper, taking out this buy side liquidity, taking out these highs down here, and we will get a bigger move to the downside. So that's an option. However, I think we're going to get some trolling. I think price won't come and take out buy side liquidity. And we see this occasionally on EURUSD. Price normally comes and doesn't actually take out the buy side liquidity. We get a deeper pullback and then we will come and do it in the future. So what I'm seeing right now is that was the first option there. Now, if you just dive a bit deeper into this, price has been in accumulation down here, range bound. All of this price action since last year has been within range bound. The week previous to last, we had a move to the upside and to the downside, attempted to create a break of market structure and continue its move up and failed to do so on the monthly time frame. Now, if we drop into the weekly time frame, what we can see is there's your wick to the upside, attempted break of market structure to continue moving to the upside, failed to do so, closes below. So we can imagine there's quite a lot of sell stops above down here. So this is a key area where we would like to target in the future. But have we grabbed enough liquidity from the downside first for us to then continue moving to the upside? Now that's the question that you need to ask yourself. Here's your lows, here's your highs. Here's your lows, here's your highs. Can we come a bit more deeper? Here's your fair value gap down here. Price is tapped into the midpoint of this fair value gap already, but can we get a bit more deeper? And that's when you need to look into the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and the 15 minute, which I'm not going to go over in this video. So what I'm seeing on EuroUSD over the next couple of weeks, I would expect two options. Now, option number one is that we will come a bit more deeper into this area. So if I just put in your dealing range from this low to this high, we're essentially just hovering around the 50% region. I want to see price come into the discount side. So can we get a move to the downside and maybe even take out some liquidity down here, get a change in the state of delivery, retrace, continuation to the upside? That's my first option. Now, my second option is that price wouldn't come back down because essentially we have tapped into the discount side of the dealing range. We have tapped into this order block and this fair value gap. So there is a possibility that we could continue moving up from here. The thing that is making me question that particular side of my bias is this range. And essentially we've come into the top end of this range bound price action. What normally happens when we come into the top end of it? It reverses. It reverses. So can we get that move to the downside first? Then we will look for positions to the upside. So that's what I'm looking at on the DXY and EuroUSD. In my next videos, what I will do is I will dive deeper on the lower time frames, on the 15 minute, on the 1 hour, and also the 4 hour to help you understand a bit more about my executions, my entries, and what I look for specifically when I'm taking entries. Now, if you like these types of videos, I will do regular videos on Forex, specifically giving you my weekly analysis, and then I will dive deeper into my entries going forward. So consider hitting that like button, subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.